Ladies and gentlemen of the old world, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be Tzeentch led by Bob that Builder, facing off against the Vampire Counts, who shall be helmed by Professor Pone, the GOAT of Total War Warhammer Competitive. And here we are on one of our coordinate maps. I believe this is called the Grove of Slaughter, or the Gardens of Violence, or something of that ilk, but it's a great map. So as far as Pone's army goes, front line's going to be basic skeletons, backed up by a couple Grave Guard, one of which is going to be Great Opens, which makes sense. Each can present some armor in the form of sometimes like Chosen Halberd in this matchup. Zangors do have 50 armor, and of course the Warriors and Forsaken are pretty armored as well. But the Sternsmen are definitely a very, very good unit, and you see them brought by in most high-level matchups. So Sternsmen, Grave Guard, Corpse Carts. Looks like it's going to be the Unholy Lodestone. Unholy Lodestone is great. Gives vigor and combat stats. What's not to love? And yeah, that's going to be it. Classic kind of Vampire Count semi-elite brick with the double Forbidden Rod Necromancer in the bushes, which is 100% an auto take. And up in the sky, we do have the Von Karstein Lord. So this is very, very good choice by Pone. In this matchup, if you don't control the Changebringers up in the sky and they bring them, then you just auto lose. They just like steamroll all of your good units and you just die. It's really, really bad. So bring the Von Karstein Lord. He has great spells to boot, right? Raise Dead, Invo, and Flock of Doom, all of which are very good here. And Storm of the Night. So you can use Storm of the Night to win the Air Force fights. Your Fellbats can then catch them. If they bring in Screamers, for example, to defend their Changebringers, so you can use the Fellbats with the Storm of the Night to take them down. It's very, very good. So I like that. Now, for Bob's build, Bob's got some cool stuff as well. Bob, of course, one of our legendary map makers. He's made a lot of the maps that we know and love for competitive. He is using a Chaos Lord of Tzeentch on a Chariot, which is an armor-piercing anti-infantry Chariot character with regenerating shields. And on top of that, Homeboy is pretty good at killing characters like White Kings, and we'll see what he's able to do this game. Now look at this, we got a Cultist of Tzeentch. Interesting, going to be summoning some pink horrors. And the Cultist is actually on a War Shrine, hold up. So we haven't seen one of these in ages. Now what does the War Shrine do? Giver of Arcane Glory. So okay, it gives Spell Mastery, Power Recharge, and Reserves per second. Okay, that's pretty damn good over the course of a long game. In favors of the Ruinous Powers. Now, normally it'd be a little bit risky, but against Vampire Counts who don't really have, shooting, this thing is going to be a little bit more durable and safer, and the rest of the army is going to be Forsaken with some Giga Chad Chaos Knights on the outside, couple pinks to shoot the Corpse Guards and other big targets, and that's going to be it. So zombies, oh look at the summon battle. So we get a zombie summon from Pone to try and topple the pink horrors here, which I suppose is kind of cost effective there. So potentially going to tie those guys down. And now we got a fight on our hands. This is Chaos Lord in the Chariot running through the Grave Guard, actually doing some pretty considerable damage. Now we have Forsaken of Tzeentch versus the Grave Guard, yes. And you do see the Hounds coming in as well to try and screen out that Chariot character. So those were the spooky, fast Dire Pack. Dire Pack is an anti-large unit. And actually a lot of them do actually get on the Tzeentch Lord and do a little bit of damage. They do a couple hundred damage there. In the meantime, the Grave Guard, of course, will defeat the Forsaken and sustain combat. Forsaken have that nice charge, and it is going to be the first Burning Head going down. So Bob going to be using the Firecaster. The Cultist of Tzeentch is a Firecaster. And yeah, he gets a pretty good Burning Head. Granted, it does cook the Summon Pinks a little bit and goes through and also roasts some of his Forsaken, but it gets the Grave Guard. At the end of the day, I would say a net positive here for the forces of Tzeentch, but not the craziest Burning Head we've seen. Now, Vargulf coming in the back to try and punish the Chariot character. It looks like as Pone continues to pile in, and the objective situation, Vampire Counts, of course, do have the back objective, but it looks like some Fellbats were sacrificed by old Pone Dog to target these Chaos Knights, maybe buy some time to get a counter in here. Maybe suspected they would just rear charge in, cause a lot of damage, so, target them with some Fellbats, which are a cheap unit, and then get a Vargulf in there to try and deal with those Knights. Who knows? So the fighting continues. The Von Karstein Lord going to be swooping down from, I wouldn't say the heavens in his case, but he is going to be swooping on down and attacking the Chariot character. But this is really neat. You can actually give anti-large and anti-infantry to the Chaos Lord of Tzeentch with the Colossal Strike. So it kind of becomes a cool dual-purpose unit, and is going to put some hurt potentially on the Von Chadstein Lord. Now, the War Shrine is fully charged, so there's 100% power recharge and 0.15 reserves per second, which is great. So theoretically, like, infinite wins of magic here for Tzeentch if the battle were to go forever. It's not a ton that they get, but it's still not insignificant. So the back, Chaos Knights with Lances. Lances couched for the Changer. Gonna get in there and get a big charge under the back of Pone's forces. Pone's gonna need to call in some Centaurs of Tzeentch probably to control these guys. And now it looks like he had some nearby, but no, oh my god, I was like, Vampire Counts can't do that. I was like, yeah, how do you deal with Chaos Knights? And I was looking at them, got a little confused. It's kind of late, but you know what? We're having a good time. So what can Pone do to deal with the Chaos Knights? Crypt Horrors are going to be good here. Blood Knights are also decent. Any of the monstrous units. There's a fair amount of options, but it looks like the Von Chadstein Lord gets his butt kicked by the Chaos Lord. Pretty good. That Chariot character, no joke. And there is going to be a Tzeentch army ability being called down, which blasts the Von Karstein Lord in the face, but not before the Chaos Lord takes some almost heavy lethal damage as well from the Vampire Gorilla, which is going to be slapping him up pretty good. On the middle objective, though, the Vampiric Infantry are holding well, despite being rear charged by some nasty units and Chaos Chariots of Tzeentch now being called in. They are holding, and that is what the Vampires do well. So 5.5 against 4.1. Most of the value that Bob has gotten is, of course, going to be on the Von Karstein Lord, who is very, very beat up now. And the Chaos Lord also not doing super great either. So that's the same coin on the other side, is that a lot of Pone's value is also going to be in this probably 2,000 gold Chaos Lord as well. But reinforcements for both sides. Cryptor is going to be called in. Necromancer is still stroking their rods in the bushes. The Von Karstein Lord just kind of carefully lurking up in the skies. And now we see some Screamers coming in. Screamers going to be trying to probably save this Chaos Lord. Chaos Lord is at 1,500 HP. And the Shrieking Skyrays are a solid anti-large unit that could probably dispatch the Vargulf in sustained combat. If they just decided to sit and fight, it wouldn't be great for the Vargulf. Vargulf also being poked by the Pinks. Pinks, of course, do fire damage and also magic damage, which is... it has some utility. There are some ghosts in this matchup, but the fire damage is very good. Applying fire damage to these units that, of course, do have... well, these have the hunger, so it doesn't affect that, but units that regenerate, like Crypt Horrors, for example, it's going to be very, very good. So call-ins for Tzeentch are going to be Zangors to try and press the outside objective. Old Pwn Dog doesn't really have anything guarding that, so going to be a pretty freebie here, as we do see the Zangors and Centaurs of Tzeentch grabbing that objective. Chaos Knights cycle charging into Graveguard Great Weapons. It's not bad. They're not going to do a ton of damage. It's not going to be insignificant, though. The Graveguard are going to be able to hold their ground, and as long as Bob pulls back and micros away, then it's going to be a big win for him. But the Zombie Summon attempting the Tar Pit and the Von Chadstein Lord thinking about diving, but second-guessing that decision, as we do see another Burning Head coming down here on these two minions. On the outside, the Pinks are moving in and getting good, consistent shooting. The Shrine of Tzeentch is still very much online, so Tzeentch is not going to be hurting for Wind's Magic. That Tzeentch Shrine, it did see some play when it was first given that ability. It of course, was a little bit buggy. People were kind of abusing it in tournaments before we banned it, of course. And then it got fixed. There was like a weird bug where it was like fast. It was recharging way faster than it was supposed to. But yeah, something worth exploring for sure. Bob is a very, very good player, but also experiments with cool tech. So I love to see the Cultists of Tzeentch. And I'd be really curious, Bob, if you're watching this video, to let me know, did you actually notice the magic? Did you really feel like you had a lot more to cast this game? So on the outside, that is going to be going to the Changer. Zangor is going to be on vacation there. Chaos Knights of Tzeentch have been really good so far. Only 500 value, but they've been able to kind of lead a lot of undead units to crumbling. And now we're going to get Centaurs charging into the Graveguard Great Weapons here as the Screamers continue to bully this Vargulf. And looks like the Colossal Strike activated. Anti-large and anti-infantry all in one boat. And we're going to see if the Vargulf starts to crumble here. Professor Pwn, the GOAT, going to be calling in the Crypt Horrors now. Crypt Horrors will struggle against Screamers, but with the support of the Vargulf as well as some infantry on the ground, maybe they're going to have a bit of a better fight. So looking at the points, very, very close. Honestly, almost identical. Geez, 569 against 571. Talk about a tight game here. Necromancer stroking their rods in the woods, and here Professor Pwn does manage to start to collapse his flank of some of the gremlins, and the Crypt Horrors will be very good against these Angors as well as these Marauders, and there is an Unholy Tide of the Dead coming up. So this is, I think, this is actually 5 zombies straight up. Yeah, 5 zombies. So that's 10 capture weight right there, which is the equivalent of like 2 full Tzeentch units. But, that's not an insignificant amount. It's that's only 500 gold, for, well, did I say there was 5 there? I think there was 5, yeah. So it's only like 600 gold, whatever. I think zombies are 100 still. Unless that got changed. Bretonnian peasants, for some godforsaken reason, got a cost increase, and I just assumed zombies did too, but yeah, discussion for another day. So, close, tight game here. Tzeentch mobility, very, very troublesome for the Vampires, but the Vampires have kind of weathered the initial beating. The Von Karstein Lord was able to heal. The Vargulf stabilized the Corpse Cart, providing nice vigor buffs. So all the units near the Corpse Cart are, of course, going to be getting the vigor replenishment, which is really good. You'll notice they don't have like big stat line debuffs. They're active in their binding. These guys are only diminished, whereas the Tzeentch units are very tired, and I'm sure a lot of them are going to be exhausted. Oh, that's a nice burning head. The Shrine lining it up. The bowling pin's coming in to try and shut down Pwn's flank here, and that's really good. Oh, talk about juicy, right? Damn, son. Dude, they just got baptized. That is a lot of damage right there, and they're going to be crumbling. And the Tzeentch Shrine itself is, 400 weapon strength fighter, going to be able to shut down some zombies, and then I think that the Blues are going to be able to shoot off a couple of these units, and at the end of the day, 10 capture weight was just diminished. But there's a reason why zombies are, so cheap, right? Yeah, they're only 100 gold. It's still very cost-effective for Pwn to send those guys up like that. So back on the objective, oh, the Blues have been called in, and this is going to show why firepower, and quite literally fire and power, is going to be very good here against the Crypt Horrors and their regeneration. You can see a salvo from which is barely a shooting unit here in these Blues. I think their weapon strength, with their missile strength, is pretty low. I guess 19 isn't bad. But they are able to drop some bows here on the Crypt Horrors, getting them to crumble. That's a big pick right there. Definitely going to take some pressure off the Zangors, and that is going to be good night, sweet prince of those Crypt Horrors. On the backside, we do have the Chaos Knights fighting a call-in from the Vampire Council. Looks like Pwn doesn't have Blood Knights. Granted, Blood Knights aren't meta in this matchup, so I understand that. But the Varix Reaver is going to be battling it out with the Chaos Knights. So pretty even fight probably. Varix Reavers are very good. Huge stat line, big armor, passive regeneration is very, very good as well. So they're going to be grinding it out in a straight fight. I don't know who actually wins that if they both charge each other. Chaos Knights are pretty meaty, and Tzeentch of course does have the shields, which give them a little bit of buffering. But Varix Reavers are going to be able to beat these very tattered Chaos Knights and probably chase them off. So we'll see. Graveguard heading over towards Objective 1 to try and flip that. Currently, the point situation, it does favor Bob that Builder. He's sitting at 885 against 730 for Pwn. So Pwn is behind. Probably realizes the desperation, trying to get the Graveguard up on the point, and also using the Varix Reavers to try and finish off these darn Chaos Knights. Vargolf coming over, Vampire Gorilla beatdown time, and in the middle, Tzeentch is threatening it with their blues, but Pwn unleashes the Creatures of the Sky. Although I think that blue horrors have good enough combat stats to probably be able to beat the Fellbats, although Fellbats sauced up by a Corpse Guard is a bit of a different issue. But yeah, I think there's just enough of them, right? These guys have 160 models against only 60 on the Fellbats, and that really is the determining factor there. And oh, there was Furies there too. Okay, so that's going to be a thing. So middle objective potentially going to go to Tzeentch here, as there's 10 capture weight and the Chaos Furies to support that. On the outside, we do see the Graveguard Great Open securing this as the Varix Reavers chase down the remnants of the Chaos Knights, and then we'll rotate over to the middle. And here we do have the Vargolf heading over, chasing down the Chaos Lord of Tzeentch, and he's getting the big Vampire Gorilla beatdown. And yeah, very, very cost-effective. Vargolfs are great monsters. Fast, regenerating, disruptive. What's not to love? But this is a really big one for the Vampire counts, being able to get Objective 3 here, right? And we do see a call into Black Knights. Black Knights have been making a bit of a comeback in the meta, and we do see the Von Karstein Lord trying to wrestle the capture weight off because he's got only zombies here, right? So he's going to need a little bit more killing power. But the Black Knights arrive, and they're going to be charging through some of the Haggard Gremlins here and getting right into the Forsaken. Black Knights, of course, should be pretty good. They do have the anti-infantry bonus. Forsaken are tanky, but their melee defense isn't the highest, and the blues will also be quite weak there as well. So that's a good burning head. Black Knights will be somewhat resilient, but the Tzeentch's Firestorm coming in, the army ability, bombarding those Black Knights right there, also nailing the other zombie units. So that's a big play from Bob. Getting rid of an expensive call, and Black Knights are not cheap. They're much more expensive than Empire Knights, closer to 1,000 gold, if not around that price point. But yeah, so we do see objective number 3 going to the Changer. Most likely going to be able to stabilize out their tattered Forsaken in tandem with that Cultist, and the Forsaken of Tzeentch coming in to reinforce. On the outside, Pwn Dog does have objective 1. Objective 2 is in flux. Vampire counts did have it for a moment, but it looks like Tzeentch is going to be able to get its gremlins on the point. The Varix Reavers are doing huge work. They actually just karate chop these blue horrors, and now they have the opportunity to move over to these other blues if they want to. It looks like they're going to be trying to knock off the Zangors as the lower hanging fruit here. On the backside, Vargolf, it did chase down, or was chasing the Chaos Lord, who I believe ran into the bushes and survived with friggin' 300 HP. But the Chaos Lord did get saved by some Furies and some Forsaken here, and that will be stabilizing him. Königstein Stalkers coming out, Skeleton Arbars, 160 models, pretty respectable combat stats, honestly. Von Chadstein Lord trying his best to flip this objective over here. He does, of course, bully the Cultist, gets another good Flock of Doom, which is great here. And the Stearnsmen are one of the units. If there was a unit that is like the manifestation of I Didn't Hear No Bell, it's the Stearnsmen. These guys are just so annoying. It's them and the Butchers of Kalkengard. There are so many games where like the Butchers of Kalkengard come back with like one model and you're like, ah, and then they terror out something and you lose. And the Stearnsmen are kind of in a similar boat here, as we do see the Von Karstein Lord getting attacked by the Shrine, the fat gorilla guys on the front, the mutants of Tzeentch, trying to finish off the Von Chadstein Lord. And oh, the army ability, Tzeentch coming in with the steel chair, getting the job done, and that's going to be a tough one for old Pwn Dog. So on the outside, we do see the Graveguard holding here. In the meantime, Vampiric success here in the middle, as the Varix Reavers, as well as the Vargolf, are able to clean off the Tzeentchian forces, and that is going to be a double cap for Pwn, but going to get scary as a full health Centaur of Tzeentch is going to be on its way in. So the Corpse Card's going to be taken offline for sure. It gets crumbled down. And now the Centaurs of Tzeentch going to be able to charge into the Varix Reavers. And with the support of the Forsaken, probably honestly win this fight. So though Pwn did get this objective. Oh, he didn't even flip it. Oh, man. Rough, dude. Rough. Tzeentch actually stabilizes it. He has such little, like the capture weight must be so freaking close right here. But it looks like that is going to be staying for Tzeentch. And up here, we do see objective 3 belonging to Tzeentch as well. As the Cryptors are taken offline, more and more zombies approaching. Going to be 6 capture weight against probably about 3 plus 3. So that's going to be more. And dude, Bob's burning heads. He's been cooking this game. That's going to be another one right down the pipe. Look at that in the realm of chaos, and everything looks really, really cool. But yeah, zombies get absolutely eviscerated by burning heads, as they should. I mean, but it's only 300 gold. But yeah, very, very good play. And I think that we are seeing the Cultists of Tzeentch actually matter, and the Winds of Magic being pretty relevant here. In the middle, the Reinforcing Graveguard do arrive, and the Centaurs are going to be pushed back. So they had a nice little run there, but I did not see Pwn's reinforcements coming in. So that is going to be objective 1 belonging to the Vampire Counts, objective 2 belonging to the Vampire Counts as well. But Bob does have a pretty considerable points lead. Value is very close. Professor Pone probably ahead overall in value. If he casted any invocations or got any healing, he should be a little bit ahead. Granted, Tzeentch does have the regenerating Protoss shields as well, so that is a variable that you need to take into account. Centaurs of Tzeentch going to be charging into Graveguard, really good target priority. Graveguard are a armored unit, and Centaurs of Tzeentch have amazing armor piercing and a really, really nice charge bonus. So they get in there and start to fold up the Graveguard. Granted, Pone Dog with a nice counterpunch, calling in the remnants of the Dire Pack to chew down some of the Centaurs, which are going to be retreating. But man, look at that, like half health off those freaking Graveguard there. That is a chef's kiss. And probably, do you maneuver these Graveguard to the middle? Maybe you do. Currently, as it stands, Bob would win on just one objective, so Pone is going to have to get a triple cap here, which is going to be really, really tough. Considering how close of a game it is value-wise, like pressing a triple cap is not going to be easy in a close game. Black Knight's called out. Black Knight's another nice armored piece, but of course will struggle against the Centaurs, but will be very good against these other units like these Gremlins and these Furies and whatnot. But fighting on the objective are Graveguard and Konigstein Stalkers. We do get the Blue Horrors coming in, and the Cultist of Tzeentch is now rolling over to the middle. Currently, he's gotten 2,600 value, just a casual 817 kills there. I wonder if he's going to break the 1,000 marker. I don't think there's enough zombies for that. Graveguard hanging out on objective 1. I understand, you know, Zangars is kind of a cool unit, but Zangors plus the fast Centaurs and other units. Tzeentch is definitely not terrible at ninjaing objectives. They have some decent mobility. As far as their roster goes. But Graveguard trying to hold valiantly here, and another burning head. That's going to be cooking, man. Bob has been just roasting this game. Fellbats get cooked, Konigstein Stalkers pay the Troll Toll, Burning Head also goes through the Graveguard here, which could lead to some crumbling, and the Black Knights do go for an isolated kill here on the Cultist. Cultist only has 45 armor, you know, so even on the Shrine he's not super tanky when he's tired like this. The baseline armor is higher, I think it's like 60 or 70 or something, but oh my god, these Tzeentch army abilities from Bob have been so good, and the Winds of Magic from the Cultist. Have we stumbled upon a forbidden meta? Are we going to be seeing Tzeentch players doing this again? Maybe we will. I think it's very, very fun. So Centaurs of Tzeentch do get around the back of the army and now are preparing to envelop in on the Graveguard here. So there they go. In the meantime, Chaos Chariots of Tzeentch going to be screaming into the Graveguard there. And looking at the objectives, though, 1450. And Bob is actually threatening this objective. Like, I did not think he was going to be able to get through Graveguard and Konigstein Stalkers. But the perpetual Tzeentch army abilities and, of course, the Burning Head's just super good. And it looks like, I mean, he would just win on one anyways, as it currently stands. But it looks like Tzeentch is going to be flipping this objective. And the Vampire counts are pretty much crumbled out anyways, right? Tzeentch has probably the superior army on the field, although there's a Graveguard. It's really close, man. This game was a knockdown, drag-out match. GG well played to these players, man, and the Deceivers are going to be clenching it, and yeah, fun one, man. So badass Cultists of Tzeentch getting 3,200 value. Forsaken very good at ripping apart chaff units. Chaos Sword on the Chariot was an interesting innovation. And yeah, Pinks, of course, always good against like Corpse Carts and, you know, Cryptors, things like that. Reinforcing Army. Chaos Knights were pretty effective. Centaurs did really well. And for Pone's Army, the Von Chadstein Lord, I still like the pick. Despite the game not going his way, it's a great pick. Because if the Changebringers are brought out, which is very meta in this matchup, you just like get wrecked without this type of a character. So there are other ways to deal with Changebringers. You could use like Fate of Buna as well, and like Gaze of Nagash is okay. If you have enough Fellbats, you can also chase them. But yeah, I really like the Von Chadstein Lord. Storm of the Night's very good, and you even use it against like Furies and things like that. So yeah, it wasn't a bad build at all. It was a lot of fun. 2,000 value on Varix Reavers, fun to see. And yeah, a good, sweaty, close match between these two champions. So ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you on the other side. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. And that is it for tonight.